traditional male and traditional female models and behaviors. When we know what they are, it can help us understand how other people who make no sense or seem to be unethical or overly cautious, we can understand and work better with them. This video is about understanding our own habits at different times and places in the workday and outside, so that you can recognize your own habits and actually make some decisions about what you want to keep the same and what you want to change. And remember, these are just habits. It's not a life sentence. You can change a habit just by thinking a little bit differently. So this video is about how to identify where you are now. So when you're at work, working on a project or a report or a proposal, maybe for your team or maybe for a customer, do you work very, very hard and get every detail right and come back and read it again and look at it again over and over and try to get it right, thinking about how you can make it even better or perfect? Or do you do a rough draft, have a couple fixes at it, and think about who needs to see that you're doing a good job? Who needs to know that you're good at what you do? And you write it for the visibility. Which one do you tend to do? The visibility one, that's the male model. I'm strategically writing this piece to impress my customer, not going over and over again to make sure I get it right. Whereas that's what I do sometimes when I get trapped in the perfectionist detail, it's gotta be perfect routine that sometimes we fall into when we're in the female model with regards to a particular task. I remember doing this once when someone asked me to put together a training session for a group of people, and I knew they weren't going to buy it, but I got obsessed with it and I spent 4 hours writing this proposal and making it perfect, even when I knew they weren't going to take it. I got stuck in that model. And if we get stuck there and we don't zoom out, then we don't have a lot of choice. So let's look at where else these models show up. Let's think about how you think about your career. Is your career something that is passionate for you, that is compelling, where you get to make a really big difference and it's really something that's important to you and is your way of making a contribution? Or is your career about starting your business, scaling it up, and then selling it for lots of money, or getting to the next step in the ladder, getting a promotion, getting to the head of department, and then taking over the whole business? Is yours a path on the way up, or is it a passion? A passion or a path? How do you think about your career? The passion is the woman's approach, where they put their heart and soul into it. Maybe that's you. Where the male approach is to think about, how can I get to that next step? If you're an entrepreneur with a new startup, it's about, how do I scale and sell? Some entrepreneurs are not trying to scale and sell. Some of them are experts in their field, and the reason they started their business, which is more like a job than a business, is to have their expertise shared with the people who need it. So they're not building, growing, and strategizing. They're making a contribution from the bottom of their heart, from their soul. Which one do you tend to do when you think about your whole career? And what about how you behave at work? What's more important to you, being liked or being respected? Think about it. Do you want to be liked or being respected? People in the female model tend to want to be liked more. And in fact, they often don't want to work with people that they don't like, because having positive, authentic, important relationships is key to them at work. Where if you'd rather be respected, you don't really care if somebody likes you or not. I mean, it's nice when it happens, but you don't really care. Which do you operate from at work? And is your job or your work for you a game where you have to learn how to play it? Or is it real and it's really important? Here's one way to find out. If somebody came along and suggested to you that for you to be more successful, you should borrow a lot of money and invest in your business, what's your first thought? Are you thinking, yeah, great idea, let's do it? Or are you thinking, whoa, wait a minute, that's a lot of responsibility. What if I can't pay it back? And what about taking other kinds of risks, like the risk of speaking up in meetings? Do you kind of and make excuses and think about why this might not be the best thing to say and then speak up and say it? Or do you think, hey, I need people to see who I am and notice who I am, so I'm going to say something really relevant or funny at work? Which one do you do? It can be very helpful for you to notice what patterns you're running in meetings, in conversations, and when you want to have sex with your partner, or when you don't want to have sex with your partner. Are you running the male model or the female model, or a combination of both? So do me a favor, write a little comment below. Which one is your major pattern? Out of all the examples we've done, where do you think you spend the most time? Male, female, female, male. Now I've got them all mixed up, but you could write me a little note. Where do you think you spend most of your time? The male model or the female model? And what would be an example of that? One thing that you do that you think is particularly male model or particularly female model. And in the next video, we're going to talk about what you do with all that.